Hailing from the days of Medarot DS, this angel type serves really no far difference from any other member of her family line, but with more of an emphasis on playing as a team more than one-on-one or even healing selfishly. It is ANG02 Restore Angel, with a kit of double all restore, repair, light legs, and the leg ability of Haja, which grants the stat cleanse effect to self when charging Metaforce. Now, Restore Angel is a very unique sense in the case that it is the last ANG type that has been missing in Medarot S since its beginning. We had Heal Angel, we had Wander Angel, we have Revive Angel, which is the twin of Restore Angel, and even a handful of Archangel type between Particle and even Fermion. But this is the only other one of the ANG line that's been missing, and with her introduction, the line is finally complete. All Restore on the head and the right arm is a healing attribute skill that basically is Restore but on just a little bit of a steroid. Simply explained, All Restore will choose one broken part of herself and every intact and active ally on the field and restore it back to 10% HP. Now, a lot of folks might be looking at this going, but Restore only grants one part at a time, so what makes this any better or even any different than anything else? And it's the fact that All Restore applies, as the name implies, to the entirety of the team. So instead of having to pick one ally at a time and risk getting hammered somewhere else while you're busy healing one at a time, All Restore basically allows you to burst restore multiple parts across the team at once. So if you have an ally that has 2 parts broken and then another with only 1, well, guess what? Now you have one fully healthy ally at full 4 parts and one with 3 active parts, and you can kind of keep this up over time. And the level of the ability to continually do this is of course tied to your healing mastery on the metal, being able to allow you to do this faster or more efficiently. Even if the 10% HP at restoration does not change relative to mastery of the metal. Repair on the left arm is a basic healing skill with its efficacy tied to the metal's healing mastery. And simply explained, it will restore an amount of HP to any damaged parts to the ally in question or even to herself. So this means that if you have a full mastery healing, you can get some pretty solid efficacy back on that, restore lost HP. And if you have a part broken, well, you do have All Restore in 2 different parts that you can make use of pretty easily. So ultimately, the synergy here is pretty nice. However, it is also worth noting that compared to other forms of repair, such as, say, Count Repair or Field Repair, which have their efficacies tied to certain conditions of the fight, Basic Repair only ties its efficacy to the healing mastery of the metal, like I said. So this is a very user-friendly healing skill you can use just about anywhere. And with a healing stat of 851, you can fire this off pretty quickly and very easily as long as the fight continues to drag on. So you can have some pretty solid and consistent healing efficacy anytime that you're in the fight. Light legs, much like every other member of the ANG line, means that it's going to have a very high emphasis on high mobility and high evade, with the cost of having just some iffy terrain compatibility based on the terrain in question, just as long as it's not anywhere indoors. However, with a mobility of 1039, it is definitely off to a very good start, so without any terrain bonus or Medarot or anything else of the like, Restore Angel is definitely going to be flying to and fro very, very easily as far as healing is concerned and bringing what she does best to the table. An evade of 1978 is also nice, as it means she can definitely dodge or graze extremely easily, and given that healing skills typically don't have any cooldown penalties of any kind or anything of note, it means it's going to be pretty tough being able to gun this angel down. However, she does have a melee resist of 901 and a shoot resist of 788, and compared to most other flight legs, that's actually not bad. Most flight legs tend to want to sit between 2 or even 5 or 600 at best when it comes to their resist stats, which makes them very easy targets to gun down at the trade of being able to have the high agility and high mobility. But with Restore Angel's legs, these aren't too bad, like I said. One just shy of 1,000 and one not great, but also not terrible either at just shy of 800. You can make this work if you have to. At the cost, of course, of having no heavy support, obviously, which is par for the course for flight legs in general. As far as armor is concerned, though, she's not too shabby either in that department, with a head armor of 3419, arms at just shy of 3,200 each, and legs at just over 3,200. She's kind of par for the course as far as flight legs are concerned, or especially when it comes to females in general, so nothing really to note there. However, having heating stats with her head and her left arm at over 800, and of course cooling in the low to high 600s, and one at just shy of 600 and mid 400s, she can fly back and forth fairly solidly as far as nothing guns her down too quickly. All this being said, though, as a pure set score, I honestly have to rate Restore Angel kind of a middle-of-the-road 6 out of 10. While she is very synergetic unto herself because she can restore broken parts, even if it's only one at a time across the party, and she can restore lost HP at the same time with repair, she is able to use her skills fairly easily if you choose to use her as your dedicated healer. However, it is also worth noting, like I said, that All Restore only restores one broken part at a time to all allies. So if you have one that's just barely hanging on there with just their head remaining, it is going to take a couple turns for her to actually restore them back to health. However, being able to restore broken parts and repair them with lost HP is very nice as far as a healing requirement is concerned. And the leg ability of Haja is nice, as it means that anytime she charges Metaforce, she grants the stat cleanse effect, which makes her immune to all incoming negative ailments that try to stop her from doing her job efficiently. However, as a flight leg, I do have to mention that she does also pose a subjective weakness to anti-air. So if anyone is packing a surface-to-air missile in their party, just make sure that you keep Restore Angel protected at all times so she doesn't get gunned down too quickly. As mixed parts, I do have to rate her just a little bit higher at a 7 out of 10 for these same reasons. While basic repair is something you probably won't use super often in favor of, say, count repair or even field repair with a compatible leg, it is still solid to make use of as a user-friendly and beginner-friendly healing skill, especially since it only has efficacy tied to the metal and not any other conditions. And All Restore is nice to have in emergency situations, as if you can't focus on one ally at a time, being able to burst restore parts across everybody at once may or may not come in handy in certain situations. And, like I said, her legs actually are pretty solid as far as flight legs are concerned and healers are concerned, with great mobility, fantastic evade, and even if the resist stats are still kind of squishy, they're definitely faring a whole lot better than most others.